grade.
Oh my
Go way
goodness.
back like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So we was
Yeah,
what? Is it 9
88,
years
man.
old?
88. Oh my gosh.
I didn't know y'all got history like that before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
me and my me and Corny, my first business venture.
Wait a
Corny
minute.
was we were in business together. We had an
Oh wait, he's
entrepreneurial.
your advisor, bro?
We
He's
had
your
a
advisor?
no, because here's the thing, he's a great artist. So I was like, man, this dude can draw. I'm like the people person, you know what I mean? And then I can color. So I was like, we were basically taking orders for people. He would draw things, I would color them, I would sell them, and we I don't know, we made like $10 or something. Do you remember that?
Oh,
You were
yeah,
on
man.
your grind, like robbing these Catholic
Bro,
school
we were
parents,
robbing.
bro.
That was
What's up with y'all?
high quality work. What you talking about?
Yo, honestly,
Listen,
man, I mean, like I look
respect
back,
that. I
like I was
respect
like
that.
what 10 years old. If I kept up with it, I think I
yeah.
would have been really pretty good at it.
Oh, for
I was
sure.
pretty good.
He was
Yeah.
great. Like this man.
Yeah.
I
I
was
was
like,
doing
how does
like
this dude?
Marvel comic
Yeah.
book hero characters. Yeah, it was dang, yo, I still remembers that.
Yeah.
It's the
I
side
got.
hustle.
I remember do you remember Jessica Ward?
Yeah.
One day she gave me $40.
What?
Bro,
I
in
never
seventh
saw that
grade,
money.
she gave me 40. She gave me $40, right? I was like, yo. I came home. I told my mom. She was like, you need to give that money back. I was like, what are you talking about? She
No,
just
hell
gave me
no.
it.
Just
And so
earned
I
it.
had to go the next day and give her the $40 back. I
Oh,
was
no
heated.
wonder I never saw that money.
Exactly, man. I was like, this is nuts, man.
Oh
This
So
is
wait,
man,
so
nuts.
so
oh my
Corny was one of the ones that helped tickle your entrepreneurial brain,
Oh
your
yeah,
little
for sure.
your
Yeah, I
pathways
mean,
and
that's
what
the thing
have
I
you.
remember. I was like, this man, I was like, okay, we combine forces, we could make a little bit of money over here. But again, it was short-lived. We didn't know how to scale a business.
the mean streets of Humboldt Park.
Listen, look, I mean, our days in middle school were wild, bro. There was a guy, I remember there was this, do you remember this? Courtney, there was this dude that would like mess around with me. And I was a smaller guy because, I don't know if you remember this. Freshman year of high school, I was 5'2". So I grew a lot in high school. So I was a little bit of a smaller cat, but I was like quick with my mouth, and I could talk and do my thing. I was the relational person. But there was this dude who was messing around with me. We had a guy named Brian. Oh, do you remember Brian Corbin?
Oh yeah. Of course, I remember
So
everybody.
Brian was like he looked like a grown-ass man in 7th grade. Like, right? Like
the gooch up in here.
Yeah. So this dude kept picking on me, right? I told Brian, I was like, bro, I'll give you $3 if you whoop his ass. $3.
Was that from the business? Were you like skimming that out the
No,
business?
that wasn't for the business. That was a different era.
Wait, do I
It's a
know who
different
this
era.
dude was that was messing with you? No, was he
His name was Slim. No, was it Slim? No, Smiley. I think it was either Slim or Smiley.
Okay.
You remember?
Yeah.
And so I gave Brian $3. We finished school one day. Brian whooped his ass. Like he just put the flex, like he just served him. And this dude was like 18 years old. Brian was like 12, But I'm telling you, Brian was built like a grown ass man. So he didn't play no games with anybody, Bro, we got stories for days.
Mad story. And I'm connecting I'm connecting false narratives here because like not only that I love how dope it is y'all were entrepreneurial and wanted to leave the shy, but like did Humboldt Park like give y'all a piece of humble pie that y'all had to like leave, like go out west, go to Japan? Like what's up, man?
Well, I'm guessing it's probably different for both of us, but
yes, sir.
I don't know. I want to cut in because I know this corny time.
No, man, bro. I mean, like, dang. I mean, like, I'm just like, hey, man. I mean, you share. It's just like, man, it's all you, man. I mean, you got the, man. I haven't seen the man. I'm just like surprised right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, it's just great to see you, man. I mean, like, man, I just saw no say Jason like when I was actually back in Chicago like a few weeks last week. I was able to meet up with him, but yeah, it's rare for me to actually see Johan because he's out there in La La Land, man. He's
West
you
Coast
know,
now. Yeah,
yeah.
well,
I mean,
because
just
last time I saw
look at him, man. I mean, I'm like, man, I should have dressed up. I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. here. I'm like in my pajamas.
2 in the morning. Well, because now I
Yeah.
got 2 kids, Corny. We got a 2-year-old
Dude, I
and a
didn't even know about
6-month-old.
that, man. 2 kids?
Yeah, 2 kids.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
We got
Hey, congrats, man.
Isline Koa
I
running the
love
show over here.
I love the poster in the back.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
so I do right now I do
Yeah.
a lot of mental performance stuff actually. Now I work with professional athletes and executives just on mindset and attaining some pretty dope goals. So that you know, for a long time I was just doing a lot of professional speaking, and then I was able to kickstart a supplementary business of coaching that has really been booming, because once the pandemic hit, my speaking business took a pause, because obviously people ain't trying to bring folks in when there's no crowds, you know. So
Right.
then my coaching business took off. So it's been dope.
I love it, man. And
Nice.
Johan, I'm just blessed that you're here. I know you might have to hop out in a moment to get back to the little ones, but like real talk, like you and Corny don't even need to like speak rap or hip hop, because like for me, class of '97, that era was like the formative time for me to even like have a romantic relationship with rap. So it's like,
Yeah.
just y'all coexisting in my space is just like, just me kind of geeking out and just, just loving it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up in Chicago, hip hop was so formative for me too, like there are eras defined by like a song or an album. And I feel like my high school years is just like all Tribe Called Quest, like without Tribe, I don't think I would have been able to get through high school. There was one year that all I did every single day walking to school was listen to Midnight Marauders,
Man,
like every single day. So for me, Tribe is the greatest hip hop group of all time.
I love that. I love that. The two thoughts that came to my mind when I think of Johan is like, bro, like, obviously being on the basketball team, but I would remember like obviously, you getting more ticked than me and Corny, but that's another story for another time. But like real talk, bro, the two things I remember that was sort of hip hop related was like, I think you would sort of like chant like Mandeka, Mandeka. And I think
Yeah.
that was from like the De La Soul album. And I
Yes,
felt
yes.
like you were putting an Easter egg in my head, because I don't even think I heard that De La album at that time. So I'm like, what is he chanting? Is he like protesting? What's going on here? I had no clue what you were talking about. And I
Stakes
had to
is
like,
high. That's from Stakes is High, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that was obviously another formative hip hop, like moment,
it's
album,
funny.
and what have you.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing too. Is like before games, or even like making mixtapes for the games for warm-ups and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
That was where it was at, right? It's like we had to make sure that we were on point, But I think that's the thing, like hip hop and basketball and sneakers, like, because we started talking about sneakers in the beginning too, man. Like it was just such an important part of growing up, and it's a part of my identity that I never relinquished. Because as you get older, obviously you can figure out different pieces of who you are and what you want to keep a hold of and what you want to let go, especially as you start to have kids. I've done the best that I can to like my kids have sneakers and they're like, they don't even know what sneakers are yet. I got little hip hop playing in the background from time to time when Disney hits ain't on the radio, because my daughter is like, I want to listen to this. I want to listen to Lion King. And I'm like, okay, just give me one, and then you get two.
It's terrible. Like we're like the classic rock, like things that we were complaining about with our parents. And now like, like the hip hop heads like are looking, the current generation kind of like might be like, all right, Dad, that's enough. But but the other moment I was gonna like bring up was sort of unrelated. Like I had some stitches on my face like during high school, right?
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't anything traumatic or nothing, right? Like it was literally like, it was kind of embarrassing. It was a dog that kind of like bit my face. So fortunately nothing happened, like nothing bad. It could have bit my eye, could have got really bad. But I remember, Johan, like you approached me like, hey man, what happened? I don't think you knew the story. Rumors was flying around the halls. And I don't want to come up with any story. So I literally only said incarcerated scar faces.
Yeah.
I had to drop an Easter egg back at your ass. I'm like, all right, man.
Yes. That was perfect too. And I was like, yeah. But that's what me and JC used to do, all stuff like that. I feel like we would always just drop little hip hop lines or whatever, talk about an album real quick. I'm the good old days of high school, huh?
Yeah, man. And that was another reason why I brought Corny on, because he says he has some of these actual mixtapes that he
Oh, is
still
that what you
has
bring out right
kept.
now? I just saw him bring a box or something. Like, what do you?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I mean, like the mixtapes, those are it's locked up in a vault in Chicago, man. I mean, that's like,
Hey.
no, I mean, this is like just listening to you guys. Like, it's gonna go off in like a lot of tangents.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like I mean, bringing Johan into the mix, I mean, that's like a totally different, man. It's just like another world.
Busting out the vinyl, baby. Busting out the vinyls for you.
Well, because
Metaphorical
I
vinyls.
mean, like I don't know what the conversation was. You know, you guys were talking about like, you know, obviously I guess this is like it's all about like hip hop and stuff like that, and you're talking about sneakers and stuff like that. Man, I mean, like, cause for me, it goes back to way back to like 93, 92, 91, where you know, like I remember like back in St. Mark's, which is where we went our grade school. I remember like I I was like my one of the first CDs I ever bought was Ice Cube. Predator.
What?
Yeah.
And that was like I mean I was like fresh off the boat. I was just you know I'm you know my family moved from the Philippines, and I just like that album, and I bought it. It had like I remember it had the parental advisory sticker on it.
So did you have to lock that in the vault too? Did your parents know about that, bro?
Yo, I don't thinking back, I don't know how I was able to buy that CD because I was like maybe like 12,
We have our ways,
maybe
bro. We have our
13. I
ways.
don't know, but I bought it. I still have that CD though, but I mean, it's just for me like hip hop. It was just all about just anything that had a good beat to it. And that album, I mean, it's pretty explicit, but it's just like for example, like Today's a Good Day, right? It's just that beat, right? That sample is just like
Yeah.
even now it just hits, man. I mean, everybody loves it. But then yeah, I feel like you guys had talked about like sneakers and stuff like that. I mean, that goes back into like the you know like the Bulls. I mean, obviously because we grew up in Chicago, right? So bro, I don't know, and I don't know where this conversation was going, but I just got these, bro. I just caught these.
Yes.
Oh,
Let me see. Let me
Bro.
see. Pull them
What'd
out.
you get
Pull them
there?
out. Pull them out.
Yo, this
How
is
did it
like
get shipped over customs, baby? How'd you get
Bro.
that?
Yes. I just got them
Okay.
too.
You got the
them over here
playoffs?
too.
Yeah,
bro,
playoffs.
this is so they just released this last 2 months ago, September.
Yeah.
Anyways, I tried I came out late, so I wasn't able to buy them in the US. But I had a Japanese friend buy these for me off like Japanese eBay or something like that, or some kind
Smuggling stuff over
Mhm.
here.
yeah, but yeah.
We need to connect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's the
those are-
thing, because from what I understand, sneaker culture is pretty big in Japan too. Yeah.
Mhm.
It is, but at least for me, I mean, like it's not like you know, like now it's like an investment and all this stuff. For me, this is all about like the memories. I mean, you're talking about like yeah, this is like
Yeah.
Jordan, bro. I mean, like this is like his first what was his first repeat, something like that. To me, it's beyond like you know, like just
No, for sure.
being a shoe.
Yeah,
I look at these shoes and it brings me back, bro, to like the Jordan era and just all the great times that we had and stuff like that. I think this was
there's a lot of nostalgia.
this
That's
was eighth grade, bro. This is 93.
93.
Yeah.
And
I had the
Aquas.
Aquas. Yeah, I had the
I had
Aquas
the
back
Aquas
in the
too.
day.
yeah, and so I was gonna also mention I have pictures you know again because Johan is here Old Country Buffet OCB used to go there a lot and bro I think for my eighth grade graduation or something my birthday like Johan and Alberto and Carlos
Yeah.
our crew back in the day we went to eat there but I have a picture and just the way we were dressed it was
Yes.
just like a snapshot of like what the kids was wearing like back in the day and
Oh
it
my
just also,
gosh.
like it reflects like the hip hop culture in the 90s. I was wearing like crisscross was it no cross colors. I don't know
Yeah.
if you cross colors and it was like it's like so baggy on me. I'm like, what? I'm like, look at what am I wearing? But yeah, it was just pretty cool, man. I mean that time
This,
early
listen, do you
90s,
remember
bro.
what we used to do at Old Country Buffet? Because this is how ghetto we were back in the day. we would go to OCB. Let's say it was like we would go early and then we eat lunch, but then we would stick around OCB for dinner. We would just be like, let's just like prolong our time here and eat more than one meal. Like, this is how hood we were as a little kid. I mean, for me, it was genius. It was genius. We were like, come on, if it's all you can eat, we're gonna stick around enough to eat more than one meal. Like, why would we just stay here for one meal?
Oh man, OCB, man, all country buffet. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like just getting into like the conversation of hip hop, right? I mean, for me, it's like it was just, again, I just came in from the Philippines. I'm still trying to learn the language, but you know, just the songs, like I said, Ice Cube, I still have the CD, the culture, crisscross, all that stuff. I mean, like stuff back in the day. And the thing is, like now, like when I still hear these songs, I mean, um, it brings me back, man. It brings me back to like early 90s. Like I said, like, and it's crazy you got Johan here because it brings me back to those days, man. I was like St. Mark, Humboldt Park.
Trying to take over.
Man.
Well,
They're
let
crazy,
me know, because
man. It's crazy.
I could probably stick around longer, but like I said, I don't want to bogart what's best for your episode. What's best for your episode? I want to make sure that
I love it. It's just a little nostalgia humble pie, man, on this Black Friday. Like, you know, we giving thanks for Thanksgiving week, but like, please, Johan, stay as long as you want. I actually wanted to circle back to that Predator moment, like, Corny, because like I didn't know about that about you. I literally was asking Alexa before I hopped on the pod. I'm like, hey, when did the Vanilla Ice song come out? When did Hammer come out? Right? You Can't Touch This. And the reason why is because that was the Disney-esque rap hits of that time, right? So like I felt like in grade school, it was like early 90s that those songs came out, right? And then when I finally was in high school, that's when the explicit parental advisory kind of blew up my mind, because I felt like, me being a film fan first, I felt like a lot of these albums were speaking to me, like film wise, and almost like, hey, you need to know the grime, you need to know the cussing, you need to know what's going on in these streets. Like there's so many examples, but for me it's like Ready to Die, right? Like just those interludes, those skits, the intros. And it's kind of like, I felt like I was being like let into a universe that I didn't know anything about. Like obviously growing up in Chicago, you do get like that perspective no matter what, but it's almost, it was kind of dope that, you know, you were being led into this, like you were getting access to this world. And it still blows my mind that some of these hits are playing and some of these kids don't even know the innuendos that's going on.
I never get
Bro,
it.
I'm sorry, I'm just
I'll go for it.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say it's flashbacks, man. You're talking about like, you know, like just hip hop. I don't know if Johan remembers this, but our grade school used to have like variety shows or talent shows or whatever. And I remember eighth grade we did like I don't know. I think Alberto Colon still has a video.
Oh my gosh!
Like Johan rapper. I got stuck there.
Uchi Coochie. We did Uchi Coochie la la la.
MC Brains.
Yes, we did some MC Brains. Because that was that
no way grade? How did they get past the censors?
Listen, here's the thing. This is the thing though. There was like, bro, you need to see it to believe it, because it was me, Corny, and 3 of our female friends in class. And they were backup dancers, and I was like doing the lip syncing, and then Corny would come in and he did like the intro, and then he did like DJ, and it was
I remember
it was
what
hilarious.
happened with that was it was like when they were having the auditions or whatever, organizing it, the guys, right, like me, like like Carlos, Alberto, the guys, we were gonna do some kind of like rap thing, and you know that's what I was in for, right? You know, just the guys, right? But then at the last minute, I think everybody chickened out, and it became like coochie coochie. I'm like, what happened? It was supposed to be like this gangster rap kind of thing.
Wait,
and
yeah, because were we gonna do Diggable Planets or?
Yeah, it was not hoochie coochie originally. From my recollection.
And I'm telling you, these girls had like tight, skin tight. This was 7th grade. These we were all in 7th grade.
The yoga pants thotties of the 90s, bro. What?
No, it was skirt. They were skirts. They were like,
bro, man, hit up Al, man. Hit him up. Hit
him Alberto Colon. He has it, because like we were bogus. Like 7th grade in Catholic school. and this was not supposed to be this way. Like, and nobody said anything, you know, singing Uchi Coochie La 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 with backup dancers who are like 12 years old wearing nothing. And you're like, how did anybody let this happen?
Yeah. Yeah. How did it get past the censors? But
The
yeah.
censors,
Anyways,
right?
yeah, I just want to bring that up. Just again, just tying like all this, like just growing up in Chicago, in the city, Humboldt Park. I remember um it's like I remember like back in the day because our neighborhood wasn't like the best neighborhood where our school was, and I remember they would I remember one time they would let us out early if you know, if the school knew there was like gonna be a gang fight in the afternoon. They would let us out early and say, hey, you kids get home safely because you know the gangbangers are gonna start, you know, doing whatever in the afternoon. But that's what it was. But I mean I remember that's part of like growing up like, you know, in the city. And I remember it kind of reflects also like the rap culture of that time, because I remember, I don't know if Johan remember this, but in our basketball team one time we went out to see what was it, the movie
Juice?
with huh
Juice?
yeah, Juice, yeah, that was like one of the first movies I ever saw.
Bro.
With it was with them. It had Tupac in it, and but yeah, it was like again just tying like just growing up in Chicago, Humboldt Park. It's like everything's tied together, like the music, the movies, right? And kind of like circling back to what Jace No Sage is saying now is like, I guess like 93, 94, that's when it started getting more like hard, right? Like, you know, yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you see all that,
I
Novek,
remember
on your
Juice.
end?
Nah, I remember Juice, man. It's like you think back when you guys talking about the talent shows, because I went to Catholic grammar school too. So it's crazy. We all had talent shows. Most of the lyrics of them shows were funny as hell, man, because you know, we had priests and stuff, we had nuns as teachers. So they're like, what is this song you're singing? And we
Yeah.
had this one priest that he was listening to Cypress Hill with us. And Staying in the Membrane.
Yes.
He thought that was the best song ever made, base. He goes, I like Cypress Hill. He was like, okay, you know what you singing right now. He didn't care.
He's like, I want to get high, so high. Yeah, man. I mean, it was just it really was a golden era. I feel like the era that we got to grow up in, and now it's amazing seeing how so many people want to capture the 90s or the 80s and like create stories around it, and or even like mimic some of the whether it be musical styles or, you know, film styles. It feels really cool that we were able to just become who we are. A big for like our formative years were really special, you know, and I think sometimes just take it for granted, especially right now. I know, you know, we can talk about this all day, but like some of the rap that is out right now, I'm like, what? How are people gonna look back and just hear the skip and you're like, what? Is it discernible? Do you know what's happening? You know, it's just I don't get it. I mean, that's a whole other conversation maybe, but I just, for me, it just makes me more grateful for what we grew up in, and just like the classics that exist in that era, you know?
Piggybacking off like what you're saying right now, like just like that Jordan, the artwork behind you, I think for me, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but for me personally, having lived through like the Jordan era, and how much he gets referenced in like the hip hop
Yeah.
songs, you know, I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that's something growing up in Chicago that, you know, that we're privileged to be able to say, hey, yeah, man, I lived through those days. So anytime I hear like a Jordan reference in a hip hop song, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, you know?
Because we could talk about that
So it
too.
just
That
kind of
could be
like
a whole other
gives it a little more
conversation of
special.
like who is the GOAT, but I feel like that'd be a different show, right?
It'd
But I
be
feel
a
like we
short,
all
it'd be a
know.
short show.
Yeah, all of us right now, we know who the GOAT is, but we would need somebody who who would say LeBron.
They'll be under 20.
That's it. There's
11
really
year
no
old.
logic around it. But you know, another thing about sneakers, because I was showing your name's Kevon, right?
Yeah. Keep on.
I was like, bro, what I did when I became a grown
What?
up was like, I'm gonna make sure I get all the sneakers that I couldn't get when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So now I got my kids growing up in especially over here living on, in the San Diego area, it's like our specific area isn't as diverse as what we grew up in. Obviously, it's not the hood. So it's like bringing these little pieces of the culture over here and making sure that my kids grow up with, whether it be hip hop culture, sneaker culture, you talk about film and storytelling. Obviously, that's pretty heavy in the West Coast. I just want to make sure that they have some flavor to them, because that's one of the things that I would never give up. As Corny's talking about, man, we grew up in a tough area, but I like I feel so fortunate about where we grew up, and I now that I have kids, I'm like, I don't want my kids to grow up there. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't. It's like I feel like we made it out by the grace of God, and then I'm like, I'm glad that my kids can grow up in an area where they don't have to worry about whether or not they're gonna get jumped on the way from from school, or that they're letting out early because there's a gang fight and things like that. It's a vastly
gang
different
fight,
world.
snow day.
Yeah,
I want to give a shout out to Alberta Clone's parents, and again, this is like, it really is indicative that the time that we grew up in and just the neighborhood, and a lot of it I think also gets reflected in hip hop. But I remember I would hang out in Alberto Colon's house, one of our friends, right? And his house is literally like the next block from my house. And I remember his parents would never let me walk home by myself at night. They would say, no, we're gonna drop you. We're gonna go in we're gonna hop in their car, drive around the block.
It was literally like a 3-minute walk too. Like he's not joking. It was not far at all. It was a 3-minute walk.
So, but I just really shout out to Alberta Colon's parents for always making sure I was safe. But again, that was just like the neighborhood that we grew up in. It was
but we had a cool dynamic, because basically I lived on Cortez, Corny, because you were on Thomas, and then Al is on Haddon, right?
Yeah.
So it was literally
and
like
all those intersect with Western, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. So you have Western, and then you have basically Cortez, Thomas, Haddon, just like one skip away from one another, and that's where we grew up for the majority, of our young life.
Bro, sorry, man. I'm just gonna bring this up, but I don't know how you're gonna tie all this together, but bro,
spill that tea, baby, spill it.
Video games, man. I mean, all this is all interconnected, right? So man, Street Fighter was like, dude, I remember after school going to Johan's house and just playing Street Fighter all afternoon, man.
Oh wait, who owned who now? Who was the Street Fighter champ over here?
I don't know. I think we're all pretty. I
think we go back and forth.
Yeah. I don't think anybody dominated.
What I do remember about Street Fighter is I remember beating the game with I think everybody beats it with Ken and Ryu first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wait a minute, who is it really hard to beat the game with? And then I was like, Zangief is damn near impossible for me to beat the game with. And so then I wanted to do that. And then I was like, I just want to beat the game with all the people that I think it's hard to beat the game with. And I remember that because part of what I teach now is mindset, right? And to me, it was really fascinating to see me at a young age want to do the thing that was really, really difficult that most people didn't want to go after, because now that's essentially a big part of what I invite people into is like, hey, what's that uncomfortable thing? We all have a comfort zone in our world. Are you willing to go after the really uncomfortable thing in order to grow? And that kind of even showed up already with video games for us at a young age,
I love that analogy. I actually was trying to have my older son play Street Fighter, and he was doing the Kens and the Ryus and the far away attacks. And he actually stumbled on Zangief. He's like, wait, I gotta do close combat with this guy. I gotta start grappling fools. Man,
360 circles on him. You gotta do 360.
Exactly.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Exactly. Again, we're jumping all over the place, but I just remembered NWA growing up and getting in trouble. My parents, my mom listened to it. She's like, "What are you doing? This music is horrible." And just being like, "What are you talking about? This is the music that's reflecting who we are." You know what I mean? And so fast forward where I fell in love with, their music when we were kids. I didn't even realize to the full extent until I saw the film it's like, oh, like this is what they went through. And I didn't even realize, oh man, Ice Cube is a damn genius, like beyond, you know, the producing, but his ability for screenwriting and storytelling and even like creating a business. Because as we got older, and again, like there was little entrepreneurial sprinkles in me that I didn't know about when I was a kid. Later on in life, that's all I've been doing, is basically creating my own businesses and figuring out how far I can go. And a lot of the people that I looked up to from an artistic standpoint were also entrepreneurs. And again, at the time I didn't have the language to understand that. You know, it's like there's something about having a vision and being able to go after it with some courage and some risk in order to bring that vision to life, you know?
Yeah, I learned a lot from that NWA movie. Like that was just like my hip hop head, like geeking out when, you know, it got that Oscar buzz and it got the shine that it needed to. Like I was more like Corny, like on the Ice Cube front, because I honestly didn't really know who NWA was. I sort of had to go back and do my research, and you know, just the fact that they were like doing shit like with the group name as NWA, like that's like a blessing. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is back then, you know, we could say whatever we want. We talk about the N-word when we were kids. We're just like, that was just a part of our culture. Like, it wasn't until we got older, it was like, hey, wait a minute, you can or cannot say this. But that was another thing that, you know,
it was everybody. It was in everybody's culture at that point. I mean, NWA. I mean, like, do you think about who was in that group? You know, you had Cube, you had Dre, you had MC Ren, you had Yella, you had random people in that group. So it's nuts how like they all branched off. Like Dre became a billionaire, Cube became Ice Cube, and then everybody else just basically had some role significantly in the future of rap and hip hop as it is today. I mean, it's like it's amazing that it grew from that. You know, it was rough when it first came out. You know, it was a rough product, and then it turned into something much bigger than what it is.
And I feel like they paved the way for groups like Wu-Tang, who, same thing, right? It's like you had these big time personalities and people who were stars who were part of a group. And then with Wu, like, it's like, okay, who could branch off and make their own thing happen? And I feel like they were so prolific in their ability to create a solo album that people loved, right? Like there was a lot of cats in Wu that were able to do that. Although I feel like it's funny because I feel like Method Man was always my favorite, but his solo albums were always so disappointing to me. So I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I'm like, there was never an iconic, like, this album like hits from top to bottom. There's a couple of tracks, but as a whole, I'm like, Method, what's going on, man? Are you just good when other people kind of lead you? You can't do your own thing?
I mean, The Cow was his best album.
Yeah, the first album was probably the best one.
For sure.
I agree.
For sure.
He could have kept 2000.
Yeah, some of the recent ones were not bad. Yeah, but like somebody actually recently asked me, like, who's your favorite Wu member, right? And like growing up, when I first got introduced to the Wu, it was the Jizza. But then I had to tell dude, like, I was like, you know what? It kind of like came in different waves, because it was like Ghost, because he actually kept the Wu culture going, and he made them like a staple for a while when the U wasn't buzzing. And then for me, then it was RZA, because he was like, you know, the abbot that was actually able to like be the leader. And then I saw Wu, like Novak knows this. I saw the Wu when they were here in Chicago, and then I was like, oh man, Meth ain't showing up. There's no way Method Man is showing up. And lo and behold, like in the middle of the show, he popped out. Like, y'all thought y'all wasn't gonna see me. So yeah, like Meth always definitely had that vibe. It was dope. It was like a dope hip hop moment, because like the show started on time, it ended on time. I felt like, man, this rap parent of me would not have ever been able to like.
Everything is punctual.
Yeah. Everything was refined and professional. Like, it was
although
dope.
I was in LA when I saw it was a Mos Def concert, and some Wu members were basically like opening up for him, and it was a shit show. It was horrible. I was like, man, like this in terms of live performance, I'm like, man, y'all are showing that you guys are kind of old and don't really care anymore. You know, just kind of going up there and doing whatever. Still to this day, I would say the best live hip hop performance I've ever experienced was the Roots at the House of Blues in Chicago. Because there's a lot, I feel like when it comes to hip hop, you really got to bring your A game. It's easy to be sloppy in a live performance. with hip hop, you know. But you can show how much you care for your craft when you're like, okay, no, we're gonna actually bring it.
No, you tapping into something because it's like, I don't know if this underlying mindset is known, but like I feel like the rap like relationship with hip hop artists is like very intimate sometimes because it's like, you know what they're saying and you're almost like speaking the cadence and you repeat it and you hear it and you're almost living and breathing it. But the live aspect of it is like a totally different thing because it's like there are fans there that don't even know the bars, and you know, you kind of have to make it more like accessible. So that's when you were talking about like the mumble raps of now, it's kind of like it's all vibes now, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's no question that performers are making their money off touring. So, you know, if you're gonna be all vibes, then you know, why not? Like, I guess, because not really people are checking for the rhymes or checking for the substance or the message anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's totally different world. It's wild, man. I feel like people are gonna listen to this episode. There was a lot of reminiscing and nostalgia. They're gonna be like, we just listened to some dudes talk about back in the day.
Back in the day, the old heads.
Back in the day. That was another one that was always on repeat.
So mine, yeah.
I was gonna say this you know, Johan was talking about like just like, you know, in the influences that we've had, right? Like listening to like hip hop at such a young age and not really knowing what it is, right? And like I was saying, like, you know, I bought like Ice Cube's Predator when I was like 12 or whatever. And again, this is me like fresh off the boat, like just learning English. I remember hearing these songs, right? And then again, I guess I don't really know like what some of these words mean at that age, and just the gravity and the weight of some of these curse words.
Yeah.
And I remember it was again, one of our good friends, I think Alberto Colon's birthday party. We were at some arcade doing like Chuck E. Cheese's or whatever, and I was like playing video games, right? And then I was just cursing. I was just saying F this, blah 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 blah. I was like cursing, like it was just all curse words, like playing these games. And then his mom, like I didn't realize his mom was like standing next to me, and she just looks at me like, and I think it's like, you know, at the image that they had of me.
Yo, valedictorian Corny over here, just like cussing like a sailor off the boat, bro.
Yeah, I was a good kid, right? But then, and then here I am, like just cursing, just F this, as you know. Again, I didn't really know, like looking back at it, I didn't know what I was saying, but is what I was, you know, that's is what I was hearing from Ice Cube. But you know, it's again, it's kind of like I guess I don't know what I'm saying. It's maybe just the influences that we have as when we're younger, right? Like Johan was touched upon, like we don't necessarily know what they mean or how the gravity or some of these things we're listening, but it does shape us, right? It shapes us a lot. And he mentioned those are developing. It makes us who we are. And again, even to this day, I don't curse anymore. So, but you know, when times call for it, you know, the Chicago South. But yeah. And I guess to that vein, I've always appreciated rappers who don't curse now. I can still listen to like Ice Cube and all that stuff, but I think it takes a certain effort for them to kind of like convey their message without cursing. I feel like it makes it even more effective. I don't know. Yeah. So first, mom, sorry.
Yeah.
It happens. It's hard to do when you think about it. You think about what Will Smith has been doing for a career, and you compare that to somebody else, or you look at there's a couple artists out there that have never used profanity. I mean, there's a few. I mean, you just got to really listen. Like I used to swear that Will Smith was cussing on songs, but I listened to him again as a growing up. I'm like, wow, no profanity, nothing at all from Will Smith. There's other artists out there like that. You got to really listen for them though.
But that's why he had all that pent up anger, and he just slapped Chris Rock out of nowhere, though.
That was therapy.
He was like, mother.
You know, like rappers are like keeping on wax.
After that, right? He's like, hey, my wife's name. I'll jump. He let it
Predator
all
came
out right
out.
there.
The Predator came out. And it's tripped out. Like the rappers are like, keep the rap beef on wax. He's like, no, not on wax. Keep it out in
That's
the
the thing
streets.
is, I think that's what made it so crazy about him, right? Is like he was the most clean cut. You know, parents just don't understand. You know, what he, just the two of us, right? Like he was not. There was nothing hard ever about Will Smith. I mean, Summertime was an anthem for one, like literally every day, just Summertime over and over again. You know, I would just listen to it. There's nothing. Your parents love Will Smith, right? And to think he was the one who was going to go off on somebody.
You got me thinking about just the two of us right now. What if he did that with Jada?
Right.
That'd be different, to be honest with you.
Way different. Way different. Yeah, it's just a lot, man.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that Novak brought up Will Smith the last episode because we were talking about, Andre 3000's rapless album, the flute album.
Yeah, we were talking about that when you had
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, so Corny, I'm not sure if you got to hear any of this. Basically, the member of Outkast who's been sort of dormant for 17 years, although he's been dropping rap bars here and there on other people's albums. He dropped a flute album. Last week. Flute album, which I don't know if it's cringeworthy for me to say this, but it does have Asian vibes. Like when I was listening to it, every track's like 30 minutes, and I definitely felt like I was whisking away somewhere.
You listen to it?
Yeah,
Think,
I mean,
you would think that they would have like, if he would have collaborated with Wu on some for that album, right?
Oh, I would have loved it. But where I was going with this was that, like, Novak brought up Will Smith because it's like he is sort of like a meme now, but his career before the slap, like he was sort of given the freedom to kind of like, not only cuss, but sort of be like a rap child to kind of branch out and do different things, right? Obviously doing the acting thing and not just be limited to music. But it's trippy though, because like there's some cats that got influenced by Jaden's like albums, and I've given some of them a listen. Real talk though, some of these we actually had an artist that was like 20 years old on a couple episodes back, and then she was talking about how like the Tyler the Creator camp and even like some of the Jaden Smith like material was like very formative for her. I was like, really? And it's kind of like, it's trippy that she probably skipped straight to Jaden and not necessarily was vibing off the Will stuff, as far as like as far as finding,
that's wild.
Yeah, finding the rap culture nowadays. And to go off on a little mini tangent, like the last album that I really rocked with that was like cussless was the Spider-Verse the first Spider-Verse soundtrack. That soundtrack is hard, and Jaden Smith's on there too. But it's like, bro, you can play that shit front to back. I played it with my kids plenty of times. It still gets plenty of plays this year too for me. And yeah, man.
That Sunflower track.
Oh yeah, obviously Sunflower for sure.
But I was just listening to the latest soundtrack the other day, just driving around. I had a speaking gig actually about 2 hours away, and I was like rocking that one on my way over there. The whole thing, front to back. But that's another thing that has happened to me is I don't know if this happened to y'all, but like I don't know names of albums anymore. I don't know names of tracks anymore. It's like number 7, number 3. Like that's all I do now. I just have no time to take in any of that information anymore. I just put it in. I'm like, I love that number 4 track.
That's happening to me right now. Like, you're in the car somewhere, and your kid plays something in the car. Like, yeah, I know about that Spider-Verse album. That stayed on rotation in my car for like at least 6 months. I mean, their music, man, is so different. Like, even with buying them shoes, we were arguing the other day about a pair of Nikes, man. She likes 270s. I hate 270s. You know what I'm talking about? The Air Max with the big bubble in the back. I hate those. Yeah. So I bought a pair of Dunks. I got a pair of blue and white Dunks pretty much for her. She goes, nobody wears these, Daddy. I'm like, I like Dunks. So like she's trying to change my shoe culture right now. Like she's trying to put me up on like different Adidas. She's the different superstars. they're different. You know, like that whole generation, like, you know, they play what they playing is funny. So my kid
Yes.
plays in bronze, which I hate. His shoes are heavy and bulky and they're ugly. But she has a pair, and six other little girls got LeBrons, or they got Sabrina's on. They got Sabrina's, the chick in the WNBA. So they're wearing different Nikes than we wear. So I put a pair of J's on, and she looks at me like, "Well, that's old school." And I'm like, it's not old school.
And LeBron is her GOAT, right?
Yeah, he's her GOAT.
It's funny though, because I'll still do, you know, whenever I go speak at whether it be like a high school or college world, my sneakers still make a like an impact. So I wore off-white Jordan ones, the UNC ones. So obviously, you know, those are hype sneakers, and it's this like automatic credibility. So if you wear the right sneakers and retro stuff, it still hits. So, you know, the right kind of dunks. Obviously, you can't wear some Pandas. Because you wear some Pandas, that's just like too much of a basic. It's just like wearing a white Air Force One. But if you wear the right pairs of sneakers, they give you authority and credibility right out the gate. You know, same thing with hip hop. Like if you know your stuff from a hip hop standpoint, whether that be past or present, that gives you automatic credibility. You know, because they know you're in tune. You know, you're not just one of those, oh, what is anything? Now, mind you, there are still tracks that right now, like I said earlier, I'm just like, I don't think this belongs on this earth. I think we just need to eradicate some of the music and just like burn the albums and things like that. But that's like I said, a whole nother story.
So since you were like a shoe head collector, like have you tapped into the vinyls at all? Because Novak is definitely aficionado of the vinyls.
No, man, I never got into that. I think I was like too much on the move for a long time because I got married late, and I was traveling a ton for work throughout my 20s and 30s. So those types of things where you like had to be like with sneakers, you could just throw them on and do your thing, right? But when you had to be like, and you can't really, at least I wouldn't want to travel with like, okay, I have a record and now where can I play it? It wasn't very practical as I was bouncing around. It's funny, but though, because I had thought about it, I was like, I wonder if I want to start this because it would be cool, one, to have it personally, but also to like invite my kids into this different world where it's not digital, you know, it doesn't live in the cloud. It's not just on your phone, but it's something that's tactile. And there's storytelling to it. Because that's part of what I figured out too, is I didn't know this about myself when I was in Chicago. Because I think I lived the stereotypical like athlete kid story where my identity as a young boy, you couldn't think of yourself as an artist when you were a kid. And so for me, at least, I mean, I don't know, Corny, if you felt the same way, because I feel like you had way more artistic prowess at that point in your life. But I didn't feel the freedom to be an artist when I was younger. It wasn't until I went to LA that I realized I was an artist. And by that time I was 30 years old, you know, and I often wish when I was younger, somebody would say, hey, it's okay to be an artist. It's okay to express yourself this way. It's okay, you know, whether it be drawing. For me, it was about storytelling. I eventually learned how to act in my 30s. Then I did some screenwriting. You know, I actually have a couple pilots right now that I want to get sold. I learned how to direct, you know, so I didn't know it at the time, but I was a storyteller at a young age, and those were the things that I gravitated towards. That kind of gave me energy and inspiration, you know, and that is the case even when it comes to sports, sneaker culture, hip hop, like everything that we're talking about. To me, it's the story of it that really inspires me.
I dig that. I love that. So you being the athlete kid, like me and Corny unfortunately had front row to seeing you like kill it on these basketball streets. Like, how do you feel, since you were always joining three balls like back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about it, like kind of morphing into that now? Like,
you know,
as
it's
far as
crazy
nobody following the shot,
yes.
nobody, you know, rebounding or playing D for that matter.
It's nuts because I feel like I was born in the wrong era when it comes to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but the thing in that, it goes back to, because I always say that I was like, I feel like I belong in the Steph Curry era because the way that he changed the game. And it's fascinating to me. I was saying earlier, because I was so small for so long, if I was going to score points, I needed to shoot from really far. And so that's all I did when I was younger, is like just hit 3-pointers, 3-pointers, 3-pointers. And then by the time freshman year, I was 5'2", and then I went from 5'2" to 5'4" my sophomore year. I don't know if you guys know my growth trajectory, but then from 5'4" sophomore year, I went to 5'11" junior year, and then senior year I was 6'1", so I almost grew a foot in St. Ben's. And then by the time I was a senior, I was like, oh man, now I feel like I can actually be a really dope combo guard. But still, some people would want me to play down low, and I'm like, no, I'm a shooter. You know what I mean? And then I would play it's funny because I would play in the Mexican leagues in Chicago, and they would be like, you're the big guy. And I'm like, I'm not the big guy. I'm a 2-guard. What are you talking about? And obviously, depending on what league you are in, they're gonna try to get you to post up. And I'm just
I be
always
playing in
out
the
there
Filipino leagues, baby. I know about being the big guy in the Filipino leagues,
You know what I
bro.
mean? I went to
Bro,
the
I play center here in Japan.
yes. See, like that's the thing. Like that's the thing, right? So yeah, I love the way the game has changed. I love Steph Curry. His innovation. To me, he's a testament to somebody who absolutely embraced who he was and created something brand new in the game. I think that's part of what I love. If whether it is hip hop, we talk about anything in the arts. Part of the work that I get to do from a mindset standpoint with people is about helping human beings figure out their unique contribution. What makes you unique? What makes you special? What makes you different? Because I think what takes away our power is when we are just trying to blend in. When we're just trying to be like anybody else. And I think if we look at hip hop throughout the years, if we look at basketball, if we look at sneaker culture, the folks that changed the game were the ones who were willing to step out of whatever the norm was and create something totally brand new.
Man,
Well, look at
John Chan.
remixing the Jordan 1. Look at the Jordan 1 remix. And you think in terms of like how Nike's evolving right now. They went back to what made the money back in the day, brought it back, different variation. Virgil touched some of those shoes, and then it changed again. Now we're at a point where these kids are getting our culture, but they're getting a remix, and they think it's cooler than what we had back then. Even though our leather quality was better, the quality of our shoes was better than the quality of their shoes. So it's hilarious. And you sit there, you look at like a kid right now wearing a certain pair of shoes, or even look at the 11s. The patent on 11s were so much better in the 90s than they are today. Like 96 when the bread patent leather 11s dropped. I remember not being able to go on the bus to Chicago because they're trying to take my shoes. So
yeah.
Yeah. We had to hide our shoes back then. Now they wear their shoes freely and openly.
Well, even now, right? Like you think about, there are so many pieces of the culture that are like that, where it's like, okay, back in the day, you would actually have to stand in line to get a sneaker. You would wait. You would need to be patient. Now it's like you need a bot. You actually need a bot to cop a hype sneaker. You know what I mean? Like everything is online. It's just a vastly different experience to partake in any piece of the culture. I remember having, when it comes to my hip hop collection, all my CDs in a case. Like I had a couple of cases, and I was like, yo, and kept it pristine. Didn't want to make sure it doesn't get scratched. And now like it's like everything's on Spotify. I remember resisting Spotify so much because I was like, but what's gonna happen to my CD collection? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't
the
want
case ain't even cracked, baby. My cases are all clean.
I took so much time and put so much energy in creating this thing, and now it's vastly different. And so so for some parts of the human experience, we are updating and we are upgrading, and some of those upgrades are awesome. And then there's certain things where you're like, man, I actually think what we had back then was way better. And how can we merge those two worlds where we like, what's that? No. Well, actually my brother does. Because my brother, it's funny, my brother's 18 years younger than me. And he is very much like, he loves old films. He collects records, CDs, you name it. Like he'll record a movie on VHS or something like that. But yeah, there's something about it where he just, anything that's old, because I think that's happening right now too, is like there's a lot of younger folks that are like, no, we're gonna actually go back as far as possible and just kind of worship that era. I don't know if Stranger Things played a role in that, but maybe.
It did. I mean, you think about it with Stranger Things, it's like a gap between us and us our time period to their time period. It showed them like what a mall was like. Think about it. We went to the mall where you went to,
Yeah.
it was Brickyard for us, the North Riverside or Harlem
Bro.
Urban Hip. You you went to the mall to go get your shoes. What they do now is they wait for the plug. They wait for somebody to send a text message and say, I got a size 8. And I'm like, what? Can I get a 14? Like, no, you can't get a 14. I'm like, what? But you got 8s, 9s, and 10s. And you meet the guy somewhere, you pay the person for the shoe, but you sell them the money in the parking lot, and they give you the shoes, you drive away. It's weird. I miss being able to go into retail and buy a pair of shoes.
Yes.
You can't do that no more.
No, well, because even so this morning there was a drop for, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Armand Meunier. They do quite a few, they do quite a few collaborations with Jordan brand. And so today they did a collaboration for a Jordan 5, and it dropped at 8 a.m. And literally the process is like, so they take down their website, and then 8 a.m. Pacific hits, the website goes back up, and then you got to do like, you got to solve a riddle, and then you got to draw a thing around a plane, and then you click the shoe that you want, right? You click the shoe, and then it puts you in an online queue. And it says, okay, you're waiting. You have a 3-minute wait. Now, here's the thing, though. You have a 3-minute wait, but in that wait, your shoe can get sold out. Right? So I'm like waiting. And then sure enough, right, it hits 1 minute wait, and it says shoe sold out. And I'm like, so then what happens is you go to the resale market, and that shoe is now double the price. And I'm just like, man, this is nuts. This is nuts, man. This is crazy.
Wait, so you didn't have a bot? You didn't have a bot or a plug, bro?
Listen, I'm a dad. But I got no bots. And that's the thing is, well, even with the Travis Scott, so there's a guy in my area over here where every Travis Scott drop, he hits like 10. And I just want to find him and whoop his ass. Because I can't hit that one.
I got a coworker hitting 10 and 20. Now we built, well, I won't say on this show, but I heard of bots. But anyway, I was saying the T Scott, I hit 2 or 3 times a year. But the thing about it, like, part of that culture is the fact that everybody wants it. It's like you think about the sawtooths, right? So the sawtooth, the Born, the Borns, man, the Borns out there by you, they, those dunks, those low-top white and blue ones, they came out and they were going in like 30 seconds. Yeah. And now they're going at 600. And these are dunks. Dunks are like $90 to $110. So you got this 6X on a pair of shoes. Yeah, so like, nuts. I get stuck in that too, like the Kobe's. Like, I get into Kobe's. I can let the
I want the Grinches. The reverse Grinches are coming out.
Those. I got the Curry. I got the Grinches. I got the Bruce Lees. I got the Halos. And I got a couple other pairs.
Listen, we got to talk sneakers just one whole day.
We're talking. I get my money back because I got 14s. I'm selling 14s.
Yeah, that's the thing is right. And your size is way more rare.
Oh, I know. What happens? NBA players want my size. So I meet a guy online, and it's a rep or some chick trying to buy the shoes for her guy. Like, who's your guy? Don't worry about it. I sold a pair one time, and it was PJ Tucker. So PJ Tucker collects shoes. He buys shoes around that size.
Yeah, he's the sneaker god in the NBA.
Yeah, he buys them everywhere though. I mean, you think in terms of like, one pair of shoes, man. You hit like I got the Back to Futures. I have those. Yes, I'm sitting on those. I got those in 13.
We got to do another episode where we just talk about sneakers and hip hop.
All right, I bring my shoes on.
Let's do it. But I gotta roll, y'all. I mean,
I gotta wrap it up
I
to
love
myself.
If we could just be here all day, but it turned into a little joint collaboration episode. My wife's gonna kill me. My wife's gonna kill me. But
hey, no, it's all right. I gotta roll myself.
How often do I meet up with y'all and reunite? It's been too long. So thanks for inviting me on, Jay. Corn Dizzle, it's good to see you.
Hey man, same here, man.
Yeah,
great to see you doing well, man.
We want to go to Japan. So me and the family want to go to Japan. How much longer are you gonna be there?
I don't know, man. Hit me up. Maybe I'll still be here. We'll see. God willing.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, so Johan, before you
go ahead.
I was gonna say before you pop out, thank you. I'm trying to remember what was that one place that we were in Bufu, wherever the hell it was, when Corny finally got some playing time and they were chanting his name in the stands, like college style. Y'all remember that? Like Natividad, Natividad.
I don't
I
remember that.
remember. Yeah, you
Where
remember
was
that?
it?
Bro, I remember that because we were getting blown away and it's like, yeah.
And then Corny hit some threes or something. It's like
Send in the Dalen Terrys. And then yeah, they were cheering. They were cheering when he got some points.
Natividad.
It was wild.
But it was good to get so Novak, are you on IG?
My IG, Mr. Keyvon.
Yeah. Here, let's connect on IG.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll send it. And Novak, we'll let you close it out, man.
Man, it's been great, man. You guys got me thinking how many more show ideas we can bring out of shoes. You know, we didn't even talk about animation that was going on during that time period, man. The stuff we were watching on TV. And
Oh man.
you know, we inspired all these kids pretty much. Like, you know, He-Man is back, Voltron is back strong.
Straight up.
Man,
Yes.
Dragon Ball got a new show for the first time in 30 years coming. I'm like, wow. But yeah, just want to thank everybody for listening today. Check us out everywhere podcasts are at. Go listen to something dope. We're going to watch something dope today. All right, peace.
Hey, wait, so what's your IG?
Mr. Keyvon.
Mr.
Yeah, I'm on there. I got to put more stuff up there. I'm on Twitter a lot. Let me see.
Oh, I got
Pulling
you.
up right. Yeah, you should probably see some of my shoes. I just picked up them the Bo Jacksons, the SCs, the Urbans.
Yeah.
I picked those up in the 14, and that was hard to get in the 14 because you know Nike cross trainers don't go that big.
Yeah. I just gave you a follow. And then where did Corny go? Did he leave?
Oh, they dropped.
Oh, there. All right. Well, I gotta go
Nah.
too, bro.
No, I put my shoes and stuff up there. We're collab on shoes. Yeah, I got a guy out in Pasadena that hooks me up. You know, he goes to some of the drops out there because you know we do a lot of it depends. We do a lot of undefeated out there. Undefeated, I get a lot of undefeated Nikes from out there. Yeah, here if it's Adidas, if it's something like that, or even the Chicago stuff, let me know because we get a lot of that exclusive stuff like the Chicago Air Force Ones and the Chicago Air Maxes. Have you seen those? Check out St. Alfred.
Oh yes, I mean I used to go there. I used to be because I grew up in Humboldt Park, you know.
Yeah, I'm right by Humboldt Park. I'm in Lawndale, but I'm always in Humboldt Park buying shoes or buying vinyl off Milwaukee Avenue. I'm on Milwaukee Avenue a lot.
Okay. I just gave you I sent you a message on IG, but yeah, let's stay connected and it's good to meet you, bro.
No, I got you. I just added you right there.
All right, my brother.
All right,
I'll talk to you later.
All right, peace.
Peace.